The success story of American energy independence is largely known, but many Americans are now facing a new threat from foreign countries who do not wish the U.S. to attain energy independence. That's according to One America's Jack Posobiec, who sat down with an expert to learn more. Take a look.
Very excited to welcome back to One America News, Daniel Turner, the Executive Director of Path of the Future. Daniel, thank you for sitting down with us.
Awesome to be here.
So there's this new bill, and you've been covering it, you've been following it, from AOC, Bernie Sanders, and it's all about fracking. Tell me what they're pushing.
Yeah, this is a proposal to ban fracking in America by the year 2025. And when you read their language, it's just full of these hyperboles about how bad fracking is, what it does. A few myths about fracking that need to be dispelled. We've been fracking in America for almost 100 years. It was actually discovered by accident during the Civil War, the process of it, and it was commercialized in the 30s. So fracking is not new. 4 million people work directly in fracking. So by saying we're going to ban it, we're basically firing 4 million people. And here's the most important statistic. Half of our oil and 2/3 of our natural gas come from fracked wells. 2 million of them right now operating in America. So if any other proposal said we're going to take half of this resource off the market, what would that do to the economy? It's just it's a nonsensical bill, but it does feed the environmental left.
And let's put a human face on it. Where are some of these communities? What's the geography that we're talking about here, where these people might lose their jobs?
Well, I mean, fracking, like all of our energy, is found in rural parts of America, right? Rural Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Mexico, Alaska, Texas. These aren't city jobs. They're not found in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, but yet they're super dependent on them, right? The low cost of oil and gas right now in America comes from this amazing abundant supply, right? It's basic economics, and that means that everyone's electricity bills are lower, their heating bills are lower. So Silicon Valley companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon, all of the FANG stocks, use so much energy. They should love the fact that fracking has made energy cheap because it makes their companies less expensive to run.
Now, that being said, though, there's a huge left-wing push, which includes cultural propaganda that's anti-fracking. Tell me, where's that coming from?
Yeah, and a lot of it comes from just absolute ignorance, and it comes from Hollywood, but it also comes from vested interests that don't like fracking. If you are an oil company, an oil country, for example, look at some of the Middle Eastern countries, you don't want fracking because it's cutting into your main exporter.
Is the OPEC nations.
The OPEC nations, exactly. A movie that was out a couple years ago called Promised Land with Matt Damon. It was all about a farm in the Midwest that had fracking and how it released all this toxic gas and it was killing all the animals and plants. The movie was funded completely by the Qataris. I mean, the movie was funded by Middle Eastern interests.
So let me get straight. The major anti-fracking movie, Matt Damon,
yes,
Hollywood A-lister star, was funded by the Qataris.
Yes, they don't want to see fracking happen because it cuts into their profit share. So they fund propaganda issues. The House Committee on Science 2 years ago did an entire report about the amount of Facebook and social media memes and videos that are anti-fracking that are all funded by Russia, by China. None of these countries want fracking to continue in America because it's bad for them, because it makes energy independence a reality in America. They are funding a lot of these efforts, and the green groups are just doing, as far as I'm concerned, these green groups are doing the bidding of a foreign agent.
Right, so when we're talking about this foreign influence in terms of elections and democracy and Russian Facebook memes, how many times have we heard about that? We don't really see this aspect of it getting as much attention. Why is that?
No, never whatsoever. And a lot of these groups never have to disclose their funding. They don't have to say where they get their money from. But there is enough evidence that suggests that some of these large green groups with $200 and $300 million operating budgets get their money directly from countries that have a vested interest in seeing America's energy industry destroyed.
What can the government do from a sort of whole of government perspective to really open up and expose these influence operations?
I think if you are a national organization, an American one, that is trying to affect change in domestic policy, whether it's through lobbying, through education, we have a lot of DC think tanks here that do this, you have to disclose whether or not you're getting money from foreign agents, because I know where I get my money from at Power of the Future, and they're all Americans. Whether you disagree or agree with what I am presenting, this is for the good of our country. But some of these big organizations, some of them right down the block with staffs in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars at their fingertips, are pushing legislation, they're pushing ideas that do not benefit America. And I think they should disclose where they're getting their money from and why they're pushing this agenda.
No, American democracy should not be for sale. Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, thank you so much as always.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.